Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those on YouTube, Twitter will join us in about 15 minutes. This is a very special night. Tonight we'll have on Twitter Hall of Fame head coach Jimmy Johnson on our Twitter space this evening. It'll be simulcast here on YouTube, and it'll be on the recruiting pod of the Recruiting Orange Bowl Boys as soon as it's done. So we will not get that done yet, but we're going to get the space going here. Let me see if I can flip it around here. Let me see if I can flip this around there. Let me see if I could flip this around. If you can hear the speakers. Okay, let's make sure everybody's on the same page here. Let's move. Okay, so we gotta move this a little over here. Okay. All right, so you see the space will be coming on in about, I would say, 15 minutes from now. About 7:55 Eastern. We're going to start it a little early tonight. We're going to get the speakers in. And once we get the speakers in, we'll be ready to go. Just want to remind everybody, if you have a question for Coach Johnson, put it in the chat box. And we'll try to get as many questions as we can in. Because Twitter's going to have, there's going to be a lot of questions once we open it up. If anyone comes in here, are you able to hear me? If you're able to hear me in the speakers, please let me know. And we'll get this going. So let me flip this around. Okay, so you're able to see me. So what we're going to do here is over here, and I'm a little off center, so forgive me if I'm a little off center on that. But yeah, once we get started, let me just test it to be sure. Okay, so that's going to be ready. Okay, so we're going to get that ready. Hold on a minute. So we're not going to start the space yet. We're going to start the space. Not yet. By the way, it's 15-0 Miami over FIU tonight in the bottom of the fifth. Gentlemen, this is a moment we've waited for a long time. So we're just going to wait. We're just waiting for Jimmy Johnson. We're going to start the space in about 10 minutes. So if you're able to hear me, I will simulcast. On, it'll be a Twitter simulcast. This will be on the OBB pod. If you have a question for Coach Johnson, please put it in the chat box, and we'll be able to get you in. So just so you know, right off the top. So I'm just going to say goodie. So we'll try to get as many as we can in. The way it's going to work, guys, is the panel is going to come in from over on Twitter Spaces. Myself, I'll be part of that panel. Once we open it up, get your questions in, because once we open this up, we're going to try to get as many as we can, as much as possible, because this is a big deal here. Okay, so I just want that clear. So when they give me the green light, we will get this game started. So if you have any questions, let me just fix it. I'll just make sure if you're able to see the screen. Let me see. Are you able to see the screen? Okay, are you able to see? Are you able to see the space? Are you able to see? Type if you're able to see it. I can move it back just a little bit. Okay, now I want to be sure you're able to hear the speakers once we get started. Hold on a minute. Okay. So they'll give me the update once we get started. So that's what's going to be starting at 8 o'clock, but we're going to actually start at 7:55. Okay, so we're going to start about another, I would say, 5 minutes. We're going to get the way it's going to work, we're going to get the panel in. Then we're going to get questions from the audience once we open it up. If you have questions for Coach Johnson, please type it in the chat box and we will get you in. So here's the ground rules. No trolling. Everyone has a good time here. And hey, let's be prepared to hear from an absolute icon in Jimmy Johnson. So here's what we've got, people. So once we get this ball rolling, that's it. So if you're able, you'll be able to hear the speakers. Just let me know. Dylan, if you're able to hear the speakers once we start, please say so, okay? And that goes for everybody. If you can hear the speakers, if you can hear speakers on the Twitter space here, please say so. That's very important. I want that understood, okay? So I'm going to start the space in about, I would say, about another couple of minutes. So are there any questions you want asked to Coach Johnson? Again, please type it in the chat box. Okay? Please type it in once we open Q&A up. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. So I'm just waiting here, just waiting to be sure everybody's going here. Okay, so I'm looking at that. Now I'm looking at top of the sixth. It's 15-0 Canes. Top of the sixth against FIU tonight. So just wanted to put that in there. Okay, so hold on a second. Gentlemen, are we ready to go? Question mark. YouTube. Those watching on YouTube, are you ready? Type if you can hear my voice. Okay, gentlemen, we are now going to bring in the Twitter space is about to start. And let's do it. Let's do this, gentlemen. Let's do it. Oh, wait, hold on. Did I record it? Wait a minute. Yeah, I have it recorded. Okay. Okay. Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a very special space tonight. We have head coach. We have a special guest tonight. Is Jimmy Johnson. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the panel in first. And Stocks will be coming in shortly. He's the co-host along with Gio. So you'll get them in. So here we go. So our co-host is now here. Please type if you are able to hear what he has to say. Okay, we're gonna get you in. Hold on a minute. All right. Are you in? Okay. 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 All right. Okay. Okay. Stocks, go ahead, sir. Okay. All right. Go ahead, sir. Can you hear? Hello, Stocks.
I could hear you guys loud and clear.
All right. Can you hear for my YouTube audience? Can you hear the speakers?
What's going on, Danny?
All right, we're going on. Hey, we're looking very impressive tonight. 15-0 against FIU, and Jake's dominant.
We just won for two.
on second touchdown.
Holy cow! Hey, we got to get. We know FI. We know we got Virginia this weekend. They're struggling against Liberty tonight, right?
Yes, Liberty's a good team. They got a good program.
Hey, we're gonna, like you said, go ahead. So, Stock, you want to give the ground rules for everybody here?
Yeah. We have a bunch of questions we're going to ask. We're going to go Danny, Gio, then myself, then Danny, Gio, then myself. There are a lot of very, very good questions. And obviously, Coach Johnson is going to answer them. And, John Ruiz, and Alex Ruiz are going to ask some questions too. And then we're going to open it up for Q&A. But what we have to do, because we have 7 people in the space speaking, and they only allow 10. So once you ask the question, we're going to ask you to kindly put yourself to listener mode. If not, we're going to have to just drop you. And please don't take it personal, because we want to get as many people as possible in to speak.
Okay.
I think Gio just got into the space.
Okay, Gio is coming to be a co-host shortly. For YouTube audience.
Let him in.
He's in. He's a co-host. All right, Gio, unmute your mic, please.
What's up, man? How's everyone doing?
What's good, Gio? How you doing, buddy?
All right.
Melvin Bratton's in.
Good.
Good. Get them everybody in. All right, guys, for those on YouTube, can you hear what we're saying? But if you can, please type. Okay.
How are you guys?
Alex, good evening. Good evening, Alex.
Alex, what's up?
Is that Mel?
How you doing,
Alex? Mel, you in here?
Mel, unmute your mic.
Yes, sir. What's going on, family?
Hey, Melvin Bratton. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Cannot complain.
Any races?
Alex, did you invite Jimmy in yet?
He's gonna get on in a few minutes.
Okay. By the way, little side note: 15-0 Miami in the bottom 6th.
Wow.
Guys, I'm on too. This is
John. Good evening. Good evening, John.
Good evening, John.
How are you?
Good evening, John.
Hey, how are you, Vic?
I'm doing fantastic. We got a couple of other spaces going on right now. One with Caneville and another one, but they'll all come into here.
They'll come here once they see the name. So we're just waiting for our guest of honor to come in.
Yes. Mel, you traveling?
No, I'm actually here. I'm in the city. I'm here. I came back for the reunion this weekend. I'll be here for Friday. Then.
All right, gentlemen. Jimmy is on. They're back. Here he is. Get him in.
He is.
All right. Okay. He is now here.
Good evening, Coach.
Coach, unmute. Coach Johnson, can you please unmute your mic?
Okay, now I got it.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Canes Corner. Tonight we have a very special guest. He needs no introduction. He's the first football head coach to win both the college football national championship and the Super Bowl. He compiled a 52-9 record while at the University of Miami. Danny Boy Kane, myself, Gio, and the Ruiz family welcome college football and pro football Hall of Fame coach Jimmy Johnson.
Good evening, Coach.
How you doing? Good evening. I'm excited about talking to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Coach, you were born in Port Arthur, Texas.
Thank you, Coach.
You went to Arkansas, and you were coached by a Hall of Fame coach in Frank Royals. You went to college with Jerry Jones at Arkansas and then reunited in Dallas. Please speak more about that long relationship with Jerry Jones.
Well, Actually, we were both seniors at the same time. All the seniors were captains, and we captained undefeated national championship team there at University of Arkansas. We really didn't have a lot to do with each other. He was a guy that came from a lot of money, and I was a guy that came from a hardworking family. But we did room together on the trips as far as the football trips. And we built a relationship. His son, Stephen, went to my football camps at Oklahoma State. And we stayed in contact throughout the years. And then, of course, when he was trying to buy the Dallas Cowboys, he called and asked if I would make a call to Tex Schramm and make a little bit of an introduction, because I was friends with Tom Landry and Tex Schramm. Tex had actually talked to me about possibly being the head coach of the Cowboys before Jerry was even involved. And so I did make the introduction. Of course, Jerry bought the team, and the rest is history.
All right, next question I got, Coach, is you were playing at Arkansas when Barry Switzer was there. You coached with him in Oklahoma, then went up against him while we led Oklahoma, while you coached both Oklahoma State and Miami. What was it like for you going head-to-head against Switzer while he was coaching Oklahoma?
Well, Barry was a graduate assistant at University of Arkansas, when I was a senior there. And then we were both assistants under Chuck Fairbanks at University of Oklahoma. He had the upper hand when I was at Oklahoma State. He was at Oklahoma. We struggled against him, but I had the upper hand when I went to University of Miami and got better players.
Okay, and the final question I got here is, Lou Holtz, as you know, got the nod over you at Arkansas. What was it like going head-to-head against him while you were at Miami and he coached at Notre Dame?
Well, I came close to getting the University of Arkansas job. Frank Brawls had talked to me about being the head coach, and in all honesty, I wasn't ready to be a head coach at that time. But he gave the job to Lou Holtz, and so I wasn't real happy about it. But Lou tried to talk me into staying there as defensive coordinator. I just wasn't comfortable doing that, so I left and went to University of Pittsburgh. And then later on, of course, when I was at University of Miami and Lou was at Notre Dame, we both had two of the top teams in the country, and it was a great rivalry. I love seeing University of Miami and Notre Dame play. I wish they played every year.
Hey, Coach. This is Gio here from the Orange Bowl Boys. Actually had a few questions here for you. Speaking about Dave Wanstead, that long-term relationship that you've had with him, you were coaching with him at Pitt, and then, just him being your right-hand man from your days at the U, the Cowboys, and then the Dolphins later on. What was your friendship like with Dave?
Well, Dave, actually, we were both at University of Pittsburgh at the same time, and he had just graduated and was just trying to make a decision whether or not to actually go into the FBI or go into coaching. I remember one night we played racquetball together, and we went to a little Italian restaurant, and I said, "Hey, Dave, if you'll stay in coaching, I'll take care of you." And that built up a relationship. Of course, I took him with me to Oklahoma State, and then he went to USC to Southern Cal, and then I took him.
Can you
with
hear the
me,
speaker on YouTube?
Down at the University of Miami. He was
Can you
here
hear
with
Jimmy
me
on
for a
YouTube
while, and
for those watching?
of course the Dallas Cowboys, and then University of Miami, or at least the Miami Dolphins. And then later on, I got him a job at Fox, so he's now working at Fox. So we've been friends for a long, long time.
Coach, you also overlapped a lot with Gary Stevens while at Miami, and then also a bit of your time with the Dolphins. What was your friendship like with Gary Stevens?
Well, Gary is a unique individual, but he did an outstanding job for me at University of Miami, and then worked for me for a couple of years with the Miami Dolphins. He had actually been on Don Shula's staff, and I retained him when I took over the job with the Dolphins.
Coach, is it true that you recruited Terry Bradshaw coming out of high school while you were at Louisiana Tech many years ago?
Yeah, that was my first coaching job at Louisiana Tech, and I wasn't actually recruiting Terry, but I watched him play. E.J. Lewis was the defensive backfield coach for Louisiana Tech. I was the defensive coordinator, and I went with E.J. to watch Terry play Terry's senior year in high school at Woodlawn High School, and he eventually came to Louisiana Tech. I was only at Tech there for a short time, for about 3 or 4 months, just the football season, but I did watch Terry, and then, of course, met him years later, when I was with the Dallas Cowboys.
Coach, pro football and college football Hall of Famer. You won a national title as a college player at Arkansas. You won a national title coaching the Miami Hurricanes and 2 Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys. What is it like being in that select group? I mean, I'm sure there's not that many guys around that have accomplished all of those.
We got the hashtag, brother.
Well, there's 3 coaches that are in the College Football Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think, and both of the other ones are back in the 20s or so. Nobody is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the College Football Hall of Fame, and the Broadcasting Hall of Fame with Fox NFL Sunday. So it's a unique situation, but I've just been blessed to be around fantastic people. Going into the College Football Hall of Fame, I didn't make a single tackle. I had great players and great assistant coaches. Now, maybe I had something to do with bringing them there and maybe developing those people, but the players and the assistant coaches, they're the one that won the games. And the same thing in Pro Football Hall of Fame. I've had 17 individuals that I've either recruited or coached in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And then, of course, if you sit on the set with Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, Michael Strahan, Kurt Menefee, you're going to go in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame. And so, the end result, I've been around great people my entire career.
Coach, this is Vic, a.k.a. Stock. My uncle, you know very well, Vinny Scavo.
Oh, yeah. I saw Vinny the other day.
Yeah, he told me. He sends his regards. I spoke to him earlier. Lovely man. You won a national championship at Arkansas in 1964. What was that experience like?
Well, I was actually from South Texas, and so when the team started coming down to recruit me, my mother and father, they both came from Arkansas and moved down to Texas, and they said, hey, you can go anywhere you want to go. That's offering you a scholarship, but if you want to have us watch you play, you're going to go to Arkansas.
Can you hear the speakers,
YouTubers? It was an easy decision to go to Arkansas. But it was a great experience. And of course, being with an undefeated team, and I was on the all-decade team of the 60s, back when I played there. And then, really, people say, geez, you were on an all-decade team. You were only 195 pounds, but that was a long time ago. The defensive linemen have gotten a lot bigger now.
Well, you coached D-line at Oklahoma from 70 to 72. You were the defensive coordinator at Arkansas from 73 to 76. Assistant head coach and defensive coordinator at Pitt from 77 to 78. Coach, what was it like, the experience rebuilding that Oklahoma State program when you arrived in 1979?
Well, it was a difficult situation. They were on probation for NCAA violations prior to me going there. And so, I knew right off the bat by taking the job, regardless how we did, we weren't going to be able to go to a bowl game. And in that first year, I went 7-4 and got Coach of the Year in the Big 8 Conference. And so it was rewarding, but them being on probation kept us from being on television or going to a bowl game. But we eventually, we gradually got better. And in my last year, we went to the Blue White Bowl, won against Baylor, and that was prior to me, leaving Oklahoma State and going to the University of Miami. Right, I had a great recruiting year. prior to leaving. In fact, I recruited Thurman Thomas, who ended up being a Pro Football Hall of Famer. And Thurman wasn't real happy about me leaving and going to Miami. In fact, he tried to get out of his scholarship commitment. But it was the right decision for me to leave Oklahoma State. Going to the University of Miami was one of the best things I ever did, and one of the happiest times of my life.
Oh, Coach, let's fast forward to 1984 now. You know the expectations are high. We had won a title in the Orange Bowl, beating Nebraska on the famous two-point miss by Nebraska. And you arrive in Coral Gables. Now, that move you mentioned from Oklahoma, from Stillwater to Coral Gables. What was the experience like coaching at Oklahoma State compared to UM? And what was it like for you having the change in culture when you first got to Coral Gables?
Well, it was a difficult move. I didn't realize it was going to be as difficult as what it was. Howard Schnellenberger had, left to go to the new football league, and he didn't leave until the summertime. And, I'd never been to Coral Gables before, but I knew that, I wanted to go have that opportunity. And so, I took the job sight unseen. And actually, when I arrived in Coral Gables, Sam Dankovich met me at the airport and said, I'm going to, introduce you to your staff. And I didn't know a single one of them. One of the stipulations on taking the job was I had to retain any of the coaches that was on the previous staff, even though I didn't know a single one of them. The one thing I didn't know is 3 of them had tried to become the head coach, and they were upset that the job was given to me rather than to them. And so they had been told if they didn't want to work for me, they would still get paid, yet they didn't have to coach for me. So it was a difficult situation that first year. And then, right after I took the job, they went on vacation. I didn't see them again until we started training camp. So we pretty well had to run the same offense and defense that they had run before. And it caused some problems. But we were able to struggle through that season. And then after that season, I think we only lost 2 regular season games in the next 4 years.
Coach, you mentioned that first season. You mentioned coming off the national championship. You have Bernie back a lot. You mentioned the ups and downs, the close loss in Ann Arbor to Michigan, the blowout loss to FSU, and of course the game when Maryland comes back from 31-0 down to beat you 42-40, and then Doug the Hail Flutie, and then the tough loss to UCLA. And you mentioned the tensions were high. And then what was it like processing that situation and getting the guys focused the following year? After that season, like you said, you went 46-4, 5 New Year's Bowls, 2 title game appearances, and the title before you left for Dallas.
Well, that first year, people don't realize we lost 9 starters off of Schnellenberger's team. And so we had to rebuild the defense entirely. We still had good offensive players, but defensively we had to rebuild. And again, I was working with a staff that I didn't even know, much less had worked with before. So it was a struggle there at the end. But again, we were able to straighten it out after that. And the other thing people don't realize, if you will check the schedules, the last couple of years, we were an independent. And we were scheduled against some of the top teams in the country. My last couple of years, I think we played like a dozen teams that were in the top 20. So every other week we're on national television. The television schedule was different back then. Now everybody's on TV. Back then we had 1 national game and a couple of regional games, and because we did play a national schedule, we were on national television about every other week playing either Michigan, Florida, Florida State, Penn State, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, South Carolina, Maryland. I mean, you look at those schedules the last couple of years, I mean, it was ridiculous. But fortunately, we were able to win those games. And that's what really helped us in recruiting, by being on national television every other week, beating some of the top teams in the country. We were able to get good players.
Coach, we were speaking about Lou Holtz with you a little earlier. When Lou Holtz got that Notre Dame job, and then, after he left there, when he got the Notre Dame job, and he left from Arkansas, A lot of interviews were going on at Arkansas, and mainly Frank Broyles being the athletic director at the time, and your former college head coach, Ken Hatfield getting that job, and you getting passed over twice to be the head coach at Arkansas. Coach, tell me, how bittersweet was it when you whooped Arkansas to the tune of 51-7 in 1987?
Well, in '87, we went to Little Rock. Arkansas was undefeated, and as you say, Ken Hatfield was the head coach there. And so, I think some of the players, some of my guys, knew that I wanted them to play well. And before the game, Michael Irvin came over to me and said, "Coach, don't you worry about it. We've got this one." And so, they had them a good time and ran up the score. I think the first year having the struggles at the end is one reason why. From that time forward, we never took our foot off the pedal. We played as hard as we could play for 60 minutes, regardless of the score, regardless of the opponent. And I think it kind of caught
Okay, good, guys.
Around the country, people saying, "Gee, this Miami team is beating the hell out of everybody," and that's kind of how we played. That was kind of like this book I've got coming out in November called Swagger. That's when we started Swagger, and it wasn't penalties, and it wasn't taunting. It was confidence, and our team was a very confident team.
Guys, if you don't mind, just let me butt in here. Coach Johnson, how are you? This is John Ruiz. We have two things in common. One, I started in 1984. Two, we both have a lot of gray hair. but I want to ask you what products you use for your hair, because my hair is falling off, and you said that
really, I'm not real particular about what I put on my hair, as long as it stays in place. I do use a little hairspray, though.
Coach, here's the real question. You're obviously a proven winner, and I remember that when you were coaching for the way you inspired the team was just special. During those pep rallies, I remember everybody in the entire school, and then obviously from 1984, we still had some real good seasons, but it seems like the team started to taper off. Do you see some of the characteristics that you saw when you were coaching at the University of Miami? Do you see that coming back? Because there seems to be, the spirit around, Coral Gables and for the University of Miami team with Cristobal and all the players that are coming back to UM. Do you feel that you're seeing that same energy come back?
Well, I think with Mario there, of course, I know the Cristobal family fairly well. I was in their home and recruited Lewis and Mario. And so, he knows what it takes. He's been at the big program. And, I was up at the University of Miami. I talked to the team just not too many days ago, and then also spoke at the clinic. And the thing that's most impressive to me is the assistant coaches that he's been able to hire. Now, we never had the budget when I was there, or any coach after me, to hire the quality of coaches that he's been able to hire. And we knew that he was an outstanding recruiter. He's brought in some great recruiters to the assistant coaching staff, and he's brought in some great coaches with great pedigree. So I've been very, very impressed with his start, not only getting players, but also getting coaches.
Coach, going back to that 85 season, the second year you're at Miami, you have a new quarterback again with Vinny Testaverde. You open up that season, tough loss to UF. You rode out the rest of the season without losing. Then the Sugar Bowl comes, the whole Tennessee meltdown. How high were the tensions for you and the guys to shake off the doubts of winning a bowl game at the time?
Oh, yeah. Really, sometimes those bowl games, there can be an upset, which I know very well. Probably the worst loss I ever had in my career, college or pro, was there in the Fiesta Bowl. That happens sometimes in a bowl game. But, we had a great football team, but we had a very young team there in, that second year. It was a very, very So, great team. And then, in fact, we would have been undefeated that last year too if we'd had instant replay because Cleveland Gary did not fumble. It was either a first down or a touchdown. And Lou Holtz would have never had a national championship and either had another undefeated team and another national championship.
Coach, in that 1986 season, you bring in your third defensive coordinator. You bring in Dave Wanstead from USC. You were familiar with him before from your time at Pittsburgh. Was it that you were just not happy with the results before that season, those last 2 years with the defense?
Oh, yeah, you always want to make improvements, making difference, offense, defense, or coaching staff. You never stay the same, and you never feel like that you're just good enough. You always want to get better, and that's one thing I wanted to do.
Coach Johnson, I had a question real quick. So,
Sure.
Mel, you might need to cover your ears here, but I had some people messaging me wanting to know this question. But who do you think is the best player that played for you at the University of Miami?
There's no way that I could pick one. We had so many great players.
Coach, this is Mel Bratton on the phone, so make it feel good, bro. Make it feel good, bro.
Is this Mel?
Yes, sir. What's up, Coach? I had a surprise for you here.
One of my favorite guys. One of my favorite coaches, God rest his soul, Joe Brodsky, used to give you all kinds of things.
Yes, indeed. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good. Coach, I just want to know one thing, Coach. That Arkansas team back in the days, were they still a chance against us, the '87 championship team?
Oh no, I don't know. There's a team out there that could have, really played with either of our teams, 86, 87. And so, really with the players that we had, I realized how many great players we had when I went to Dallas Cowboys, and I saw how bad they were. I said, geez, I thought I was a great coach, but evidently I just had great players.
Coach, going back to that 86 team, so Miami likely had its most talented roster at the time, probably closest in talent to those 2000 to 2002 Miami teams. It's Miami's first undefeated regular season in its history of football. You make it to the Fiesta Bowl. Vinny has all the accolades in the country, a Heisman Trophy under his belt, the first Heisman Trophy for Miami. The crash of that national title game, that 14-10 loss to Penn State. You guys dominated that night. It was in yards, on defense and whatnot. Just the offense couldn't get going. How tough was that loss for you, Jimmy? And especially on the guys on the team at the time. A lot of people consider that team probably one of the most talented teams to never win a national title.
Yeah, I agree with them. It was difficult. You mentioned Vinny. The thing that people don't realize, Vinny got hurt on the motor scooter accident and missed the last game against East Carolina. So he missed all that practice time. And then on top of that, he was on the road, accepting the Walter Camp and also the Heisman Trophy. So he missed practice time there for a couple of weeks. And so he wasn't as sharp as what he could have been. But, offensively, we still, I don't know, we gained 400 yards or more, whatever, but we turned the ball over, turned it over like 7 times. And they only had 1 first down the second half. They only had 8 first downs the entire game. So we dominated the game, but because of the turnovers, the mistakes that we made, we came up short. And that was a devastating loss because I knew that we were the better team. We weren't better that night, but we were the better team that year.
Coach, 1987, undefeated from start to finish in the second national championship for the Canes. You were at the top of the world. You had a sophomore quarterback at Steve Walsh. What was it like beating Switzer so much while being at Miami? Did Barry ever have hate for you?
Oh, no. It was a good rivalry. Oklahoma's, they year in, year out, they had one of the better teams in the country and they had one of the best teams in the country that year. But we were just better than anybody in the country that We didn't make a lot of mistakes. We were very talented on defense. We had people that could put the ball in the end zone on offense. We were a total team, and we did and we could beat anybody in the country because we were the best in the country.
Okay. 88 was a great season too, Coach, and it was your final at Miami. I mean, we all know Cleveland Gary was down in that classic game versus Notre Dame. Miami should have been national championships again. What was the feeling amongst coaches and the players being snubbed in that fashion?
Well, I mean, I always said, you can't put the game in the officials' hands. And, we didn't play our best that day. We turned the ball over some. We gave up a couple of long passes. And, we were not at our best, but we were still good enough that we should have won the game. But we put it in the officials' hands. And the official made the wrong call. And it cost us. Had we played as well as we were capable of playing, it wouldn't have made any difference what the official did.
Okay, I'd like to follow. I want to get one quick follow-up, if I may, as well. And I'll say this till the day I die. If we had played them in a rematch in 88 in the desert, would you have blown them out in a rematch?
We would have blown them out. And really one of the mistakes that we made the year before was strategically we should have played Penn State in Orlando when we would have had our fans there. But the Fiesta Bowl, they talked Sam Jenkins going out to Phoenix, and so we played there. But either of those two teams should have beaten anybody in the country anywhere we played if we'd have played our best.
Okay.
Coach, this is John again. Quick question for you. So we've seen the evolution of, back in the 80s and obviously in the 90s and the 2000s. Do you feel, because there's always a comparison with, the older teams and the players that played before and how big the players are now versus the speed. Do you feel, having been a coach and watching it now, at the professional level and commentating on it, do you feel that the athletes are stronger, better? Is it a different game? Do you see it the same way that it was before? What's your vantage point on that?
Yeah, I think all the athletes are, they're better nutrition, better training. They train year round. They have better weight programs. They're bigger, stronger, faster. That just goes with the territory. And so it's, that's why it's really ridiculous to compare teams or coaches of different eras. People want to, like for instance in professional football, Bill Belichick's, the greatest coach of all time. And they say, well, how can you compare to the Chuck Knowles and the Don Shulas and the Tom Landrys? Back in that era, they didn't have free agency. And so they didn't, have a salary cap. They didn't have a situation where you had to play rookies. You got a team put together, and that same team stayed together for 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Rookies didn't even play. It's pro football. You got to play your rookies. You got to play free agents off the street. And so you got to be a better teacher. So it's really difficult to compare teams from different eras or coaches from different eras. The rules are different. The athletes different. They are bigger, stronger, faster now than they were back then.
Right. And just one other question, because obviously, I watched them play myself, but I wanted to get your opinion. How good was Deion Sanders, on the field?
Deion was a great player. In fact, that was really a little bit of a miscommunication, a mishap my first year at University of Miami. I talked to Deion about it. The coach that actually recruited that area over in Fort Myers, he retired. And so I didn't have a coach recruiting that area. As you know, I came in late and, there was, a lot of things happening during then. And so had we worked on Deion, we might have got him to University of Miami rather than him going to Florida State. But he was a great player.
Okay, Coach, I want to ask also, taking on the whole moniker of the bad boys of college football, bringing the A to the 4-3-D to the U, how much fun was it just having an open field day on other teams while at Miami? And did you also really embrace your guys to let loose and have fun?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted our guys to be enthusiastic. I wanted them to, show their emotions. I wanted them to be themselves. Now, I didn't put up with penalties. I didn't put up with 15-yard penalties. I didn't put up with taunting. I didn't put up with fighting. And so we were a disciplined football team. If you check the records, we were not a highly penalized team. Now, it changed a little bit after I left, especially against Texas. But you check the records, we were not a highly penalized team. But I wanted our guys to have fun. I wanted them to be themselves. I love seeing the enthusiasm. I think sometimes that enthusiasm, that excitement, that intimidates the opponent. And just, not without taunting them, without doing it in their face, just us being excited. They see us having fun. I think it takes away some of their enthusiasm.
Now you get to Dallas in '89. Jerry Jones hires you. Michael Irvin's there with you. You know the first season's 1-15, but in the off season you pull off the Herschel Walker trade that got you a boatload of draft picks. People call it the Great Heist. But 2 Super Bowl wins after the conclusion of '93, and you leave Dallas after the breakdown with Jerry Jones. You had a tremendous trio of Irvin, Aikman, and Emmett together. Did you guys feel blessed having those guys on offense, being such a defensive-minded coach?
Well, see, people don't realize, they talk about the triplets there offensively. But we really, like, for instance, Troy Aikman could have thrown for a lot of yards, but we didn't throw the ball that much. We didn't need to. One reason we didn't need to is we were outstanding on special teams, and this is the thing that's overlooked. We led the NFL in defense. We were number 1 in the NFL in defense. In fact, when I took that defense to the Miami Dolphins, we also led the NFL in defense with the Miami Dolphins. So that's overlooked a lot of times because they look at Emmett and Michael and Troy, but they don't realize that we were number 1 on defense. That allowed them a lot more opportunities to score.
Okay, and the last question I would have for you is this. Speaking of the Jaguars and the Eagles, did you really consider either of those jobs to take, and which one would you have preferred at the time?
I've had half a dozen teams, talk to me, after I left Dallas, and then again after I left the Dolphins. But I thought a little bit about the Eagles. Jeffrey Lurie came down. We talked a couple different occasions, but I didn't want to be in that kind of weather. Dean Spanos came down a couple of times with San Diego. And he's a close friend, and I told him just too far. Actually, the one that I came closest to was John McKay at Tampa. And he worked real hard trying to get me to go to Tampa. But I wanted to stay here in South Florida. I wanted to stay close to the Keys, and so that's why I took the Dolphin job.
Coach, excuse me. How honored do you feel, just throughout your coaching career, you were involved with so many other legends such as yourself that you came from those coaching trees, but how honored were you replacing a guy like Howard Schnellenberger at the U, replacing Tom Landry with the Dallas Cowboys, and then replacing Don Shula with the Dolphins?
Well, one thing that I always tried to do, I tried to say, as much as I respected all 3 of them, and all 3 of them were great coaches, I wanted to be judged by my own merit. And I never lived in the past, and I didn't want to take anything away from them. But by the same token, I wanted to start off fresh, and I always said, just judge me for what I do. And so I didn't want to disrespect anybody that came before me. But by the same token, we were going to do things my way, and some of those ways were different. And so I really never really spent a lot of time thinking about the people that I replaced. I only thought about what we were going to do and how we were going to get better.
Coach, what was that experience like being involved with so many talented quarterbacks over your coaching career? You know, just name dropping guys like Bernie Kosar, Vinny Testaverde, Steve Walsh, Troy Aikman, and Dan Marino. What was that like?
Well, if you're going to win championships, especially in today's football, you've got to have an outstanding quarterback. And Terry Bradshaw and I are very close. We watch college football all day Saturday, every Saturday for the last 27, 28 years. And, you know, the way the rules are now, especially, you've got to have a talented quarterback. Years ago, you could win with a good football team, with outstanding talent, with a good quarterback. Nowadays, you've got to have a great quarterback if you're going to win a championship. That's the way the rules are set up nowadays.
Coach Johnson, question here. Now, speaking about a quarterback, what do you think about our current quarterback in Van Dyke and what he can do for us, you know, come this season?
Well, what I've seen so far, I like him a lot. I think he's a very talented individual, and hey, I'm anxious to see him play.
Yeah, same here. Coach. And I think everyone can speak for that too. But I think, you know, everyone wants to know about the future and what you're, you know, and what you're excited about the future of Canes football and, you know, the energy coming around here. I know my dad had touched upon that from before. So, you know, what is your, you know, internal expectation more or less about when you think, you know, that we can rise back to where we once were? And you know, obviously Mario needs time and different recruiting cycles to do so. But more or less, what's your timeline on that? You think, you know, that we can expect to be, you know, great again?
Well, first of all, you got to understand, you know, even though I've been involved with football my entire life, I'm a fan. And I'm a fan of the University of Miami, first and foremost. I think, you know, it's a good start. I think with Mario Cristobal and his coaching staff, they've started the right way. And so it's just a matter of time. I mean, you know, he understands how hard it's going to be. He understands how much work it's going to take. They've got to recruit extremely well. But it can happen. And I'm optimistic, just like every other fan out there.
Coach, in regards to recruiting, because you had mentioned that situation with Deion Sanders before, what were some infamous battles in recruiting that you had of guys that almost landed at Miami during your time at Miami?
Oh, I don't ever worry about the ones we lost. You know, if we lost them, I might see them once a year. If we got them, I was going to see them every day for 12 months. So I only worried about the guys that we got. You know, one of my hardest recruiting battles was for Jesse Armstead. He was the number one player in the United States. And, you know, I was fighting, you know, I was in his home numerous times going up against Texas A&M. I think they were trying to influence him to go down to College Station. And so that was one of the most difficult recruiting jobs I had, was getting Jesse. But I had a bunch of them, you know, throughout the way. You know, back at Oklahoma State, we signed the number one player in the United States with Thurman Thomas. And so I don't worry about the ones I lost. I just concern myself with the ones we got.
Coach, speaking about your time with the Dolphins, you were very integral in bringing in Dolphins legends on the defensive side of the ball, such as Hall of Famer Jason Taylor. Now he's coaching at Miami. Zach Thomas, likely to be a Hall of Famer in the near future. Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain Sr. Speak more about those guys.
Well, you know, they're really the reason that we led the NFL in defense. You know, we felt like, as strong as we were defensively, if we could keep the turnovers to a minimum, you know, we could have success. You know, we tried to help out the offense. We missed on a few of our calls. You know, we drafted Yatil Green. He tore up his knee. And so as much as we tried to improve it, we brought in Jabbar. He rushed for 1,000 yards, but still wasn't enough. We were able to go to the playoffs straight years, won a couple of playoff games, but we couldn't win a championship. We just, you know, we made too many mistakes, you know, to win a championship, and that was a disappointing thing for me because I had a great owner in Wayne Heising. I wanted to win a Super Bowl for him, but but again, we were in the playoffs and won a couple of playoff games, but it wasn't good enough for me.
All right, we're going to open it up for Q&A for Coach Jimmy Johnson. We're going to go with Big Cat first, and then we're going to go with Kane Gang
by the way,
second.
and also
anybody that wants to request, please hit the request button, and we will patch you into Coach Jimmy Johnson.
by the way, for those on YouTube, please ask a question on YouTube, and we'll get you. We'll gotta ask it. Go ahead. We'll open the Q&A now.
Sorry, did you know of Danny Boy Kane? I wonder. It's like two legends in here: Jimmy Johnson and Danny Boy Kane. Go Canes!
This is the first time I've ever done one of these things. So I've done a few Zoom calls, one thing or another, but this is the first time I've been on a Twitter call.
Thanks. Go Canes!
Okay, Kane Gang, you're up.
Hey, what's going on, Coach? This is Drew from one of the CanesSpaces over here. But I had a question. So I'm a lot younger than a lot of these guys, so I can't. I was still shitting my diapers when you were coaching at Miami. So my question is, recruiting wise, from the outside looking in, how would you handle recruiting in today's atmosphere?
Well, of course, I haven't done it in a long time, so I don't know that I can speak with any authority on it right now. I would defer to Mario Cristobal because he's one of the best recruiters in the entire country. And the only thing is, I always look for certain things in players. Number one was intelligence. Like, for instance, my first draft in Dallas, my first 4 picks were all academic All-Americans. All of them made the Pro Bowl. Troy Aikman, Darrell Johnston, Mark Stevnoski, and Tony Tolbert. And so, I look for intelligence. Players that are smart can get better and better and better. They improve, and they give you the problems off the field. I wanted the guy to be a player. I wanted him to have quickness. I wanted him to be a gym rat. I wanted him to be the type of guy that was going to compete with a basketball or shooting pool or running a race. So you have it. I wanted him to be a competitor. And the last thing is I wanted him to have character, because you can't win a championship with bums.
Okay, I got a question from you member of the YouTube audience. He says, Coach, what is your expectation for this upcoming season?
I just want them to be as good as they can be. I don't want to watch a game and be disappointed that a better team beat us. If they improve the tackling, last year I was disappointed that we just didn't tackle well enough. So I don't want to watch a game, whether or not we won or lost. I don't want to watch a game and feel like that a team that wasn't talented as we are beat us. As long as we do that, I'm going to be very happy with that football team.
Okay, we got the Pole Man, then John Drummond, then Suave.
Coach, pleasure meeting you and talking to you here in the space. What was it like coaching out there Marino? I know you coached Aikman and Marino, too, Hall of Fame quarterback. Just kind of like, maybe they were a little bit different, but just how was it like coaching Dan Marino?
Well, it was great coaching Dan. Unfortunately, I got Dan, after he was all beat up. In fact, he was injured every year that I was with the Dolphins. The first year he had I think it was the Achilles problem and missed games. He had a knee problem. The third year, I think he had the shoulder problem and missed 5 or 6 games. And so he was banged up by the time I got him. I would have loved to have coached Dan Marino when he was healthy. He could still throw the football, but he had so many leg problems and knee problems that, in fact, he's replaced. But healthy, he was a great, great quarterback. Unfortunately, when I had him, he couldn't move, but he could still throw the football.
Okay, we're looking for Dave Portnoy. Please hit the request button. John Drummond, you're up.
Hey, Coach, this is an honor speaking with you, and I just want to let you know that, do you understand how you change college football? No, it's not even just college football. It's football, period, because of the great guys and talent that came out, not just you win them. When I was 6 years old and hearing about that,
growing up, even when I hit my freshman year in college, I mean, just playing with that swag and talking about Jamie Johnson, all the guys from South Florida, like, we just grew up with that, you know, you call it swagger, that confidence, like, we just had that. And I got recruited, and my coach would tell me, oh, yeah, we recruit guys because, oh, yeah, guys from that area, they got that swagger. Like, you changed football in general, to me, period, because everyone play like that, especially guys in South Florida. That's what we kind of bred on. I mean, I still wear my, Luke bandana because it's just like that mentality out there. So, do you ever talk about that? The guys like, hey, man, we really did something different, or you just kind of, it's an aura, you don't kind of understand that, or you just kind of see it from a distance?
Well, I talked about it a little bit to the team the other day, about swagger. And in fact, in the books that I've got coming out, I tell a couple of the stories. For instance, when we played Oklahoma, I went into the pregame meal. I don't know if Melvin's still on the call or not, but Melvin and Alonzo and Tolbert, Bain, they all came up, Coach. We called Bosworth. We got him up out of bed.
I'm here, Coach.
Hey, Mel, I'll let you tell the story.
Well, no, real quick. I know you got to go, Coach, but real quick. When we saw Brian Bosworth on our front page of the Miami Herald, he wasn't on the sports section. He was on the actual front of the Herald, the big news. And Alonzo and I woke up. We looked up, and this guy's on our front page with his mohawk all painted up, saying how he's going to come in and kick Miami's behind. So that pissed us off in the room. So I woke up, and then I grabbed the phone. I say, hi, let's call Boz. He said, huh? I said, let's call him, wake his ass up like that. I said, let's wake him up. And I said, he's in our city on our front page, our paper. This is bullcrap. We can't have this type of, saying him running our city. So I called and got the phone number real quick. And then from information, we went in the yellow pages back then. Alex, you don't know about the white pages, yellow pages, because that's not even no longer exists. So we took and did that, got the number, called a Fountain Blue. So I said, put Brian Bosworth on the phone. The lady was like, well, the lines are shut down. We can't open them until like 10 o'clock. I said, well, I'm going to leave a message. She said, who is it? I said, it's Melvin M.F. Bratton and Alonzo F.N. Highsmith. I said, we called him to give him a wake-up call, tell him we're going to kick his ass at high noon at 12, that we will be there in the Orange Bowl. She said, hold on, Mel Bratton? I said, yeah. She said, oh, you my classmate. I don't like his behind anyway. So she plugged us through the phone at 6 a.m. in the morning. It was 6. And his roommate answered the phone. He dropped the phone and said, Brian, you got a call. So Boz gets on the phone. He said, hello? I said, Brian, this is Melvin F. and Bratton. This is Alonzo freaking Highsmith. I said, we give you a wake-up call. We're going to kick your ass at 12 noon. I said, so when you show up, I said, and you and I stayed on our front page, you know how disrespectful that is? I said, we'll see you at noon. So Brian's so cool. He said, bro, I appreciate the wake-up call, but why you had to wake me up so early? So I kind of bust out laughing. But I look around, Coach Johnson, you notice Jimmy Alonzo's tearing up the whole Miami Lakes room. He's knocking a ball down. He's hitting the lamps. He's going crazy. I said, bro, slow down. I mean, the game is not until noon. He was so pissed off. So what we did, Coach Johnson was on another wing. We went down the hallway, banged on everybody's door. We woke the whole entire defense up. And we had to hold all starters on both sides. And we went in the room with Jerome Brown. So we told him what we did. They grabbed the phone and I gave them the number. And they called Jamel Holloway. And the whole starting defense is in the room. And they was like, put Jamel on the phone. And so he said, hello? Jamel had the little squeaky voice. He said, Jamel Holloway. He said, who is this? He said, it's the whole freaking Miami defense. We're going to kick your beep, 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 beep. So that was a story about the Oklahoma wake-up call.
And those guys came up to me at the pregame meal and started telling me about it. I loved it. I said, oh, my God. And I knew our guys were ready to play.
Yes, sir.
Coach, how much more time do you have?
In fact, I've got to go right now, to be honest with you.
Uh-huh.
I'll take one more question.
Okay, and it'll be from the YouTube audience. A YouTube audience ask this. Yeah, for Coach Johnson. Which Miami team do you think is better, the '87 team or the 2001 team?
Oh, I can't compare teams. All I know is we had great players and we had some great teams, and I'm not real good at comparing teams against other teams, but I know we had a great one.
Okay,
Coach. We want to
Thank you for joining, Jimmy.
Joe, it's been an honor.
I enjoyed it. I appreciate
Go
Melvin
Canes,
telling that
Jimmy.
story.
Jimmy, I appreciate you.
Go
Coach,
Canes.
I wanted to
Have
say
you
thank
ever
you
been
for coming on the
attacked by a bear?
space.
Thank you, Coach Johnson, very, very much for coming on. It was an honor to have you.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, go Canes.
Yes, sir.
Coach, welcome to the world of Twitter.
Have you ever been attacked by a bear?
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Kick that guy out. Get that guy out of here. Who was that?
Have you ever been attacked by a bear?
Get him out.
All right. Okay. So go ahead. Thank that was Coach Jimmy Johnson, folks. So what do you guys want to do now?
Well, we got Melvin Bratton in here.
Yes. So
Melvin,
let's
you
get
wanna
Melvin.
talk?
So let's get.
I like to talk to Melvin. I used to work downtown way back with the tape. My dad was a mailman there, and we used to talk about all the time. Every time we used to talk about you, and for a long time I used to work at the Ingram building, and he used to deliver mail there. So we became good buddies, and we talked all the time. I hope your dad is doing well.
He is. He's 75 now and just enjoying the retired life. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man. He was such a nice guy, and we talk all the time about you and the Canes. It was so much fun back then.
Melvin,
Yes,
it's Steve Kim. What's going on?
Steve Kim Hall, what's up, my favorite West Coast guy?
Yeah, hey, Melvin, by the way, I'm looking at the 87 poster that you signed for me. Prepare for the storm. I actually have that in my office. I have a question I wanted to ask Coach Johnson, but he's off. But do you remember meeting Marvin Hagler, my all-time favorite fighter? I actually wrote about it in a story a couple of weeks ago. Were you there when Hagler stopped by practice?
Well, actually, I had a meeting yesterday with Don King in his office up in Deerfield, and we talked about that. We talked about how he came to practice with Jimmy Johnson, invited those guys. So there's a series of boxers came through after Don King showed up, and he remembered that at 90 years old, that how the Canes was hot, and he was happy that I got the chance to sit down and talk with him yesterday.
Melvin, I talked to Alonzo a couple of weeks ago. He said that the team went to go watch, I think it was the Mugabe fight, March of '86. Did you go with them to watch the fight?
No, I don't remember that fight. I think it was another fight that we went to the James Knight Center to see. I forgot who it was, but somebody, I forgot. I don't know if it was Tyson or somebody, but no, I didn't go to that fight.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Melvin, I wanted to ask you about the 2022 team. So far, what are your thoughts? What you're seeing? What do you like? What do you think we need in terms of improvement? So I just wanted to get your thoughts from a former Cane.
Well, I'm excited to see them this Saturday because they have the alumni weekend, and me being a sports agent, there's certain rules and regulations, but since the NIL and the Ruiz family has opened that gate up, I wish they'd give me my NFT deal in retro and to bring the briefcase back, from the 80s, But no, the 22 team, I'm anxious to see them. What I did see briefly, I was at the Pro Day last week, the mindset of the whole entire building, and that's with championships, we had championships from the front, from the secretary, from the front of the Heck Center, all the way to the back, the Green Tree. Everybody's mindset is always on win. Nobody, you can sense it. So right now, the atmosphere of the breathing is just like there's nothing but success. And Mario has done a great job with all-star coaching staff. I got a chance to meet Kevin Steele again, and Charlie Strong. The first thing he said to me, Mel B, this is the first time this dude ever met me. I met him in person. He talks about the hit when Jarvis Williams knocked me out in Florida, laid me out in the game in Florida, and he's talking about that. So we get to arguing back and forth already. So just the environment, it's a winning environment. It's like being successful in business. If you got a happy room and happy employees, you're going to be successful.
Do you have any questions for Melvin Bratton for those of you on YouTube?
This is John Reese. How are you, brother?
Hey, brother.
I see you more often than I used to see you at school now.
Big Cat is now off the space. By the way, again, if you have a question for Melvin Bratton, please ask.
I remember,
put it in the chat
obviously
space.
I went to school with you guys, and you guys just had this, swagger, like Coach Johnson said, that you walked around the school and you guys thought you were the shit, which you were. Do you see that in what you're looking at now with a team, that we're putting together? Because I got to tell you, I think Cristobal It's just the guy's a badass. He's got that inner sort of button, right, that Jimmy Johnson has, and obviously Cristobal, and that you guys had. And I don't think that's something you teach. That's something that's in you. And I guess, what I've seen, just whether it's in football or just in general, just seems that some people have it and some people don't. What do you think about that?
That is so true. Mario and I had the pro day last week. He came over. We sat down. I was sitting against the building, and we were talking. And I told him, I said, you know what? God had you go and take. You wanted a job back then when you wasn't ready. I said, but for you to go to Nick Saban to learn the Nick way, as far as taking those coaches, those top guys, parking them for a year or two, and then learning to get the top coaches into the system, and then you went to the Phil Knight way to see the financial side of it, how things are supposed to be done with, the TVs and the locker room and each the video games and everybody's locker. So I said, you was being prepared to come back here. So for those two stops that you made, I said, you learned from two different situations that's now brought you home to retire to do this. And he brought up Coach Geddes, offensive coordinator, to me. And one thing I told Coach Geddes, I said, listen, I said, the thing is, it's a different mindset here. We expect to win. We don't have so many students on that campus, but 10,000 to 12, whatever it is. But this city in that Orange Bowl, and then also at the Duke Stadium at the Hard Rock, this team is built off the local municipality, the people that's here. I said, our mindsets are different. We're spoiled, and if we don't win, they're not coming. They got other things to do, South Beach boats and everything else, the cigarette boats, saying that the Ruiz family done took over, and everybody want to ride cigarette boats now in Bugatti. So, but the mindset, and I told Coach Geddes, I said, listen, just promise me one thing. Give me not one championship, give us 2 championships. Then you can haul ass and go where you want to go and build whatever team. I said, but we need to get this mindset back to make Miami being cool. We're losing too many players to go in all these different schools. Alabama had, 3 of the starters from South Florida in the championship year. We got guys going all over the various places. So we got to make Miami a fad again that makes you want to come here. It's not about the money. It's not about the NIL deals. You got to be wanting to be a Cane. And I think that's what's transitioning right now, what Mario's bringing.
And I think, Mel, a lot of that has to do, and, kudos to you and to a bunch of the other guys, we've spoken to Alonzo also, that are putting the time and effort and going back and kind of, guiding these youngsters to feel that energy that you guys had and kind of the stories that you have to tell, because it really is all about that, right? So it's bringing back, that swagger, that mindset, which is, I think, what coaches bring in, these winning coaches and the winning attitude.
Right. Well, that swagger's deep. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, Alex, John, do we have any updates in terms of the stadium that you would like to share?
Yeah, so I think Johnny's on tour. At least I saw that he was on.
No, he's not on anymore.
He's not on. Either Alex or I can give you an update.
Well, basically, the update right now is that we're expecting to hear back from HKS, rather quickly. Right now, they're doing a complete site plan, and we're going to have some renderings, coming up shortly. We're just waiting on them. So the time frame exactly, we don't know, but, they told us that it's, it's in the process, and, I don't know if my dad wants to share any more specific details on that.
I think we're looking probably at another couple of weeks. Let's say maybe by the end of April. We should have a pretty good schematic of the entire, process of what we're looking at. We are, still piecing together a lot of the things. See, one of the things that people need to understand is for teams to be successful, forget about whether it's UM or a professional team. A lot of these, corporate components go into play. And that's one of the things that we're piecing together, because for it to be a successful endeavor, we have to really start putting together the support of the entire community. I feel that what happens a lot of times, whether it's the Dolphins, and I don't see that with UM, because I think UM is different. The fans are very, very loyal. But, we have fair-weathered fans, and what happens with the Marlins and less with the Heat, obviously the Heat's on the top of their game now, and they've had pretty, steady winning teams. And it's a much smaller place to bring in fans also. I guess maybe it's about 20,000 or so. But I think that's one of the key components. You have to have the community behind it. You have to have the corporations behind it. And that's kind of what we're trying to piece together to not just build a stadium, because people get real happy about things. And then it's almost like buying a new car. You're really happy. You drive it 3, 4, 5 months. But then, the payment's still coming in and you're second guessing yourself if it was a smart idea to buy the car or not. And I think that's what everybody needs to kind of focus on. So not only are we looking at the facility or facilities, and as I said before, this is not just about a UM stadium. We're looking at this for the whole entire community. We're looking at it for, Dade County Public Schools. We're looking at it for female sports, for...
I want to add something in real quick, which I think is going to be, great. So as soon as we get the renderings from HKS and everything that we're doing, I'm going to create basically what the whole entire site would look like you'll be able to see it on the Oculus sets and, in virtual reality, so that everyone can, get a picture of exactly what it's going to be. And we're going to probably set something up, around campus. We'll probably rent out and lease a property for this, a little, some sort of a warehouse that we can go in there and all the fans can come and see what the whole entire project entails and get a really good view. So it's not just on the plans that you're seeing, one dimensional. You can actually see it, feel it, and compare it to the old Orange Bowl and also the entire project as a whole. I think that when you can start doing with advances of technology and you could really paint a great picture of what the impact can be for the community, it gets everybody excited. And I think that, will help lift this, project and get everybody engaged.
And I think that's a great idea. I think Alex brings, a lot of that to the table in terms of understanding, what a lot of the younger people want to look at too, right? So, this whole new technology and being able to see it in that fashion is very important. But I think I'm in agreement with Alex, and we haven't really discussed it in detail, but when we're going to show what HKS sent us back, we're going to do it in a setting so that everybody can see it. We'll have fun. We'll probably rent out a place, have people come over, and just make it an experience. I think that's a lot of this is about that too, right? We got to get the community behind everything that's happening. This is for everybody.
Lachlan, I see you have your hand up. Do you have a question for Mr. Ruiz or Melvin Bratton?
Yes, sir. I was just hello guys. Just wanted to thank you all for having Coach Johnson on. It was a pleasure. And see all you all again. I was just wondering, John, what do we have any members on the Miami staff that are have approved these plans or are aware of this situation, or is this kind of in the developmental phase?
So what happens is once we get the plans, sort of preliminarily shown in terms of the whole concept, it's not just the University of Miami, even though obviously the university knows that we're working on this. It's also the county. It's also the people that live in the county. So it's a much bigger project than that. But the best way to explain it is if somebody's going to present something to you, you rather than present it in real true concept and just verbally speaking about it. So we didn't want to do that because we felt that would lose the punch.
Well, also we have a lot of experience when it comes down to this is just quite being very raw and honest here. So we get different people probably on daily this is daily people asking us to meet with us for different investments and different hypothetical scenarios of investments. What happens is that when things are very raw and people come to us with a lot of plan without execution, it kind of it's kind of a waste of your time. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to come, and what we're going to do and execute is we are not going to waste anybody's time. When we come and we meet with people and we bring everybody around to the table, we're going to have our ducks all in a row. We're going to have everything done. I want to take some of these people into the virtual reality stadium also. They can see everything going on, what we want to build. You can also make adjustments in that too. That's the future of this world. You can start doing a lot of different things there so people really, understand what it is we're trying to do and what it would hypothetically look like if we were to go into this. But what happens is that when you come and this is all strategy based too. everything we do is with a strategy. We're not doing anything on the fly. You know, this is all thought out and done, you know, to the T what we're trying to get done, which is you can't go to somewhere without a plan. When you come and you have everything done and all your ammo with you, you know, that's when we're going to get this done. We're not going to get this done by going to different people, going to city commissioners and everything else too, just saying, hey guys, we want to build a stadium. They're gonna laugh and, you know, tell you to get out. You know, you got to come with a plan, with everything ready to do. You got to have all your ducks in a row, and that's kind of what I wanted to chime in on that portion of this portion of the conversation.
So to add to that, when I went to Chicago for the Elite Eight, you know, the folks over at Northwestern University were kind enough to show us the facilities. You know, very impressive, getting ideas about how that was put together. That one has 270,000 square feet. In terms, not talking about the stadium itself, just talking about their facilities. So, you know, there's a lot more that goes into it. The one thing I can tell you is, you know, the university is very gung-ho and very, you know, the thought process from the university, the board of trustees, everybody's there. They're all, you know, for making the school better from an academic point of view. Obviously, they're all over the sports. They're pumping in the money. And all that stuff is happening. So I think, you know, it's moving in the right direction. I quite frankly feel that we are way ahead of what we ever expected. If you guys think, you know, maybe it's probably about 6 months back now, because we're you know, in April already. If you think 6 months back, did anybody ever fathom that we would be at this stage, even having these kinds of conversations? And the answer is obviously no. So I think we've made it a long, long way. There's a lot more to do, but, you know, I think everything's moving in the right direction.
Chris, I see you had your hand up for a while. You have a question for Mr. Ruiz?
Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on, Danny Boy, Gio, Stop, Coleman?
Yeah,
brother.
Everything good.
Nothing much, man. Mr. Ruiz.
Yes, sir.
My question comes in regards to the NIL deals.
Yes.
We've been hearing a lot in our spaces, in the Canes Unfiltered spaces, that a lot of these decisions that the kids are making are because the deals that they're getting are a lot bigger and stuff like that. So is that something that is going to be able to be, that we're going to be able to compete with, or is that something that is not going to be realistic?
So, you know, I'll tell you that from our experience, they're not just looking at money. They're looking at a lot of different things. They're looking at the coaching staff. They're looking at the patients they're going to get. They're looking at, you know, can they rely on people? They have students, you know, remember, they're obviously playing football and they're on the field, but there's a lot of off the field.
Facilities don't need all that.
Right. So, I mean, all of that comes together. I think, you know, factually, you can take a look at what's going on. I mean, I don't think anybody can dispute that we've gotten, you know, some pretty spectacular players. So I think we're doing really, really well. But I also think you got to do things the right way. You got to be smart about it, because there's no sense in bringing players in and ultimately causing an issue for the school or causing an issue for the players. One of the things that people really need to understand is LifeWallet and us that are doing the NIL deals, we probably need to be smarter than anybody else, because we could cause a problem, but we don't suffer any consequences if a problem exists. What do I mean by that? If there is any violation, the school gets sanctioned and the player gets sanctioned. We don't get sanctioned. We're a private company, and, you know, we maybe look bad, but at the end of the day, I'm very, very, you know, keen and sensitive on those issues. So I think that the question that you asked, I'd answer it in this way. I believe, and, you know, this is my own personal opinion, I believe we have the best platform for NIL in the entire country, and that's because we show the transparency behind it. We make sure that the players comply with the contractual obligations. We're meeting the mandates of what the Florida law requires and the NCAA requires. At the same time, the kids are very happy. They're learning. They become more self-confident. And at the same time, we got great players. I think that we're doing, not forget about us as LifeWallet. I'm just thinking the university, the fans, the coaches, the administration. I think we obviously want as much as we can get, but we all got to be really happy. Got to all be really, really thankful for what's going on. And I think the main point here really is that, the university internally made the right decisions and took the right steps to make this happen. This doesn't happen if, internally they don't realize, hey, we got to put up money, we got to do this, because if not, this is not gonna go in the right direction, right? So I think that's the best way to answer that. The ultimate question is, I don't think this is a money issue. I think this is be smart issue and make sure that you do things right. Right now, I'm focused also on the basketball team, because I think, we made it to the Elite Eight, and now that we got the football team doing well, and the baseball team, last I heard, I think somebody said they were winning like 15-0 or something.
It was 16-1 final tonight, by the way.
Okay, so listen, we got some really good energy going. I'm trying to focus on the basketball team in terms of making sure that, once kids commit, that we can give them those NIL deals. So I don't think anybody should be worried that somebody's going to outdo us. I don't think we're going to be outdone. We will be outdone if somebody does something stupid, and we're not going to do something stupid just, for the sake of making something happen. That's not going to be us.
Okay. Raymond, I see you have your hand up. You have a question for Coach Ruiz, and also, just by the way, for everyone in the space right now, we have Coach Jeff Eden, one of the strength and conditioning coaches for Canes football. He's a speaker on the space right now, so if you have any questions for Coach Eden, you could ask.
What's up, Coach? You're just on the Unfiltered, Canes Unfiltered with us.
How you doing?
What's going on?
I saw this quick kid, Manny McLean. He looks really good. Do you think we can get him?
As far as recruiting questions, man, I pride myself on being a strength and conditioning coach. So I bench press, back squat, power clean, man.
Lovo, I see you had your hand up. You have a question for Mr. Ruiz or Coach Eden?
Yeah, how's it going? First of all, thank you to you guys for hosting this.
On YouTube, if you have a question for Coach Eden, please type it in the chat box, and I'll try to get it answered.
Here, but it's towards the stadium. First of all, thank you for all the efforts you've done and towards NIL and the new stadium plans. But do you really think the stadium is that big of a necessity? I know it's a hike for a lot of people. It's pretty far, but with a state-of-the-art venue like Hard Rock, whether it be hosting F1, the Miami Open, that stadium gets loud, and you've seen when the team's good, like, for example, 2017, that stadium gets packed. I know, I believe you guys are all obviously planning for something state-of-the-art as well, but I feel like the Hard Rock can be our permanent home with good success with Cristobal. I don't know. I was just curious.
Alex, you want to go and then I'll go, or what are we going to do?
Yeah, so to chime in on that a little bit. So what happens is that anyone who thinks the Hard Rock is a great, and I agree, it's a great venue. Trust me, this venue that we're going to be building is going to be state-of-the-art. It's going to be one of the best venues in the world. This is the guys who built SoFi, where the Rams just built there in California where the Super Bowl was. Those are the same architect group that we're using right now. We hire the best of the best. We have the best of the best, working on this project, everything else. So this is going to completely outdo a stadium that was built, way back then. This is going to, be revolutionary with the technology in the stadium. It's going to be up to par with everything that's happening, all the new technologies. And it's probably going to be, a top 3 stadium in the country, if not top 2. So, you can't say, to outdo SoFi is very difficult, but we're going to make something at that level. So I wouldn't be concerned about that. And then to chime in a little bit about, about Hard Rock being our permanent home, I think that, being a former student there, who graduated recently, it just does, the students are not going to the games. The students are not, traveling all the way over there. It's very difficult for them to get there. I think that something closer to campus is going to make a big difference in that. And then I also have talked to my dad about this multiple different times. I think that the school in its entirety needs to let more kids in the actual school. You know, look at USC. USC is ranked ahead of us academically. Small classrooms are a thing of the past. You know, I'm very adamant about this. I've talked about this multiple times. You know, there's a lot of, you know, people who think that small classrooms make better grades and make better students. I have to disagree with you on that, because people who are good students are going to be good students no matter what. So, you know, that's why USC is a great school. You know, they attract really high talent academically, and also they're good at sports too. And, you know, obviously, you know, we need to be at that level, I think, in terms of people and students on campus. I think we need to expand that, and that'll help translate to the fan base and packing the stadium more, and just creating more revenue for the school also.
I want to piggyback on that, if I may.
I have a question.
Let me just say this. So there's an old saying, which is, a man's home is his castle. This is what it's about. We need to build a home for the University of Miami. Hard Rock is not home to the University of Miami. The Orange Bowl probably wasn't home, but it felt like home because it was predicated on those principles. So I think a lot of these things that you've heard from, you know, Coach Johnson and Mel, I'm not even sure if Mel's still on or not, you know, it's a mindset. It's a way of thinking. It's just, you know, ingrained in people. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference for the fans. It makes a difference for the players. That's why they say, you know, home court advantage. And I think, again, you know, Hard Rock was built, I don't know, maybe 30 years ago or so, you know, thereabouts. The technology today, with the way that, you know, stadiums are built and the vantage point and what happens, you know, before the game, it's just a different experience. And obviously when they built Hard Rock, it wasn't there. I know they've remodeled it quite a bit, and it's a great, you know, facility. We actually went there, I don't know, Alex, maybe a month and a half ago or two, and we visited the whole entire place, you know, for purposes of F1. I think it's really, really important. I think if you ask, and I think the people in the school think it's important, I think the coaches think it. Now, is it the most important right now? Probably not, but it's still very important, and we have to start planning out for it. Glad somebody was going to ask.
Hey, John, I'm here. I'm still here, this Mel. But no, you said some key things, though. Honestly, the Orange Bowl, when we came through that electrifying stadium, even though it was old and beat down, but by the fans being on top of us right there to the point where we felt like the fans was in the game. You know, I haven't played at the Hard Rock, but by the stadium, the seating being so distanced to a little bit far, it's, you know, it's nice, it's beautiful. I'm not knocking it, but to have a stadium, what you guys are putting together to have that environment to like a Clemson and Alabama, when you come into that stadium, the fans, Florida Field was like the most intimidating stadium I played in the pros, it was Cleveland Browns, the dog pound. So we can create a mindset and attitude that everybody's like, you know, afraid to come and play, like the black hole type deal, our mindset. Trust me, those people are really those teams come in, it's an intimidation factor. And our mindset, when we played the OB, it was 7-0 before the ball kicked off in the favor of the Canes. And that was our mindset.
And that was the line, too.
I don't know about that. I have no memory on that one.
Hey, I have a question to ask. This is from Melvin. So, playing for Miami.
Put your hand up.
Playing for Miami.
Put your hand up next time.
Playing for Miami. What do you see is the difference in playing for Miami in the 80s and what the guys are going through nowadays?
Well, it's a big difference, but the social media. All right. So, you know, the thing that frustrates me with these players now, my Canes of last year and the years before, a guy make one play and he's posting. I mean, one play and you got your ass kicked. All right, you lost to North Carolina, and you're posting a one catch type deal. We would have really had a hissy fit if Mike Irvin or anybody, Brian Blaze, Brett Perriman, Eddie Brown, whomever, would have done some foolishness like that. To do that, you know, I mean, social media is the biggest, I would say, the devil to college football because it brings so many people. It's a great thing as far as endorsement wise, and I'm happy, like I said, once again, what the Ruiz family is doing with NIL deals and making, LifeWallet, one of the top deals. And I'm happy the kids are finally getting paid, so that's number one. We always fought for that, so we're glad that happened. But the other things that kids are staying up all late at night trying to get their likes up, they're not studying football anymore. You only have 20 hours, as far as practice now. So you have to be able to, we live we didn't play Xbox. We wasn't playing video games. We wasn't worried about social media because we didn't have it. So we studied Florida State. We studied, our next opponents. And that's why I see the difference. They lose focus because they worry about their likeness and trying to get deals.
All right, let me also add this also. Sorry, Pullman. Please raise your hand if once you come in here, so this way we can get you in. Pullman, go ahead, man.
Coach Eaton, a question. Based on your experience, obviously you've been in the business a long time. What are you seeing? What are you seeing in the training and the thing with the football team? What's the biggest thing that you've seen that kind of like impressed you?
Is that a question for me?
No, for Coach Eaton.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I missed your question. Can you answer?
Based on your experience, and obviously you have a lot in strength and conditioning in college football. What is the one thing that you've seen from this Hurricane team that has impressed you, and that the way the guys are working out, and you can maybe elaborate a little bit on that?
Oh, absolutely, man. It's their hunger to get better. I said it on the last space that I was just in. We walked in and these guys had that look in their eye, like, okay, now we're ready. We're ready to go, And they also had a look of kind of that skepticism, right? Because things didn't always go their way, and the previous staff what it was, and we're not going to tarnish them. That was a period of growth for them and everybody else, but. They had that look because they didn't know if we were all in, right? But that first training session, I'm looking over at Coach Feld and I'm like, oh my God, man, these guys will do anything, bro. Like, these guys are ready to work, So we've kind of taking it day by day. Obviously, there's a lot more work to be done, and we're nowhere near where we know we want to be and where we can be. But I'll tell you this, man, and this isn't just a slogan. This isn't a tagline. These guys that we have in this building, our players, man, I can't say enough about them, man. They're world-class human beings, and they just show up to work every day, and they want to get better. And it also helps that we have our alumni coming back and talking to these guys, to hear from Alonzo and hear from Melvin and all these other legends. That is absolutely huge. It's huge for us as coaches to get educated on, the spirit and the soul of this place. Because like I said before, man, the walls speak. Green Tree practice field is special. It makes you go harder as a coach, as a player. So to answer your question, man, I think the DNA of our team and just that pulse of our team is they know they want to get better and they know they need to get better. And we have the DNA and we have the coaches in the building. We got the right people in the building to do it. So
appreciate it, Coach. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Let's get Broadway in. Broadway, you're up. Go ahead and speak, please.
Yeah, my question is for John Ruiz. Appreciate all the talk about the stadium. But one thing I wanted to talk to you about and see if you're involved with is the facility expansion or a new facility in general. Gabby even reported on it, saying that Miami's looking into upgrading facilities. We just built that facility, the indoor, so recently. If you are involved, kind of what's kind of the game plan there? I know we want to talk about an extension, but where are we extending to get that indoor field to 100? And then if we're talking about a complete new facility, a new structure in general, what would that be in comparison to what already is built?
So two things you guys may have read, but along with Alex and Johnny and his mom and my daughter also, we donated $2 million to the University of Miami baseball team for a facility. That's a weight training facility. As it pertains to the football side, Look, I don't like to say things that others are involved in because it's not really my place. All I can tell you is you guys should all be very, very inspired by the fact that there's just a lot of things going on that are going to happen at the school in terms of a new facility. Yes, there's already, in the works for a 100-yard facility. It's all state of the art. I was fortunate enough to be in Chicago when we looked at the Northwestern facility. So I think the future is very bright. I think, I just heard one of the coaches talk about the attitude of the kids. I don't see them on the field, but I see them off the field because they come to my office to record all these commercials. And I had the pleasure, today is Wednesday, Monday, of, being with Metro Agudi, which we just gave an NIL deal to. These kids are really, top-notch in terms of their character, their attitude. They seem like really happy now, Coach Cristobal's there and the great coaching staff that they have. And I think everybody understands that, we as a Ruiz group are moving forward with the stadium plans and that the school is moving forward with other stuff and that we're going to participate and we're going to support them. But look, it's not just the Ruiz family. I got to tell you, there's some real badasses there whose names I don't want to mention, but I know them very well, that really are doing stuff. They're really, really smart people. They're no-nonsense people. They're people that do things for major corporations. And, long story short, stuff is getting done. You got really talented people doing stuff in there now. This is like something I've never seen.
Okay,
which has changed from the past. I think that's what's important too.
Okay, let's get JF in. Go ahead and speak, JF.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Hey, Melvin, I just want to say that story brought some chills down my spine because, like, when you said that story about the phone call, I totally understand the coin toss now, and that was probably one of my favorite UN moments. Even though I never got to see that in person, but I still say it to my kids: if you're gonna show up to the game, that's how you gotta kind of act. But my question is, being a Cane in the 80s, what are some principles and some things that you can give to Coach Eaton so he can address his team with to maybe bring that type of culture, like we had in the 80s until today's game?
No, the coach, listen, this coach staff, I don't have to tell them nothing. They can educate us. I mean, when I was in the weight room for the pro day, and I'm standing there just watching just the attitude and just the environment. Bro, this is we're on. I haven't been on the campus and God knows when. That's my first time seeing the indoor facility. As far as indoor, that's my first time, and I was just, my mouth was like, from what we came from.
Questions,
and John, I mean, that weight room we had was, man, gee whiz, it was terrible. But we didn't know. But the thing is, what I would say to the coaches. I was texting with Mario today, as a matter of fact, because they allow, us as agents now to, come around and be part of, the ceremony this weekend. And I was texting Mario, and I told him, I said, I'm proud of you, bro. I'm happy that you home. We love you. We happy that somebody walked through Green Tree and that's been through the Heck Center and that had cleats on the Green Tree field. And one of the things that I wanted to relate to the guys this weekend, you got to hold yourself accountable, the individualize. And what Coach them is doing in the weight room, you hold everybody accountable. A lot of times we were so self-motivated. We didn't the coaches didn't have to coach us. We had separate groups. Jerome Brown would go out and tell the D-line, okay, we call a workout on the field, everybody would meet at whatever time we said as a team. Coach Johnson, we had certain rules where they couldn't come on the field in the springtime, so they used to watch from upstairs. So we would hold our own workouts ourselves. The O-line versus D-line would go, the running backs and linebackers go get the DBs and receivers. So we did gassers, we did whatever. We had one kid that I forgot who the player was. He was a freshman. He didn't show up. So guess what? All of us, all of us got in all our cars. We went to the dorm to 36. We kicked the door in. He in there with some chick. We told him, say, listen, either you gonna side with us or you gonna go with her. All right, or which you gonna choose? But are you better than us? Like, get your ass up, whatever, and get over here for us. What? We didn't take that. So it takes a leader right now. Our Blaze Junior should be held accountable for their whole entire defense.
Zion Nelson should be held accountable for the offense. You know what I'm saying? As far as if that team don't win, those are two guys right there I'm pointing out right now that should be held accountable because it comes from within. When the turnover a team is driving on us, I saw in the years to come on television, guys that sit on the bench, they don't care, whatever. We got into the defensive guys' ass. When we met them, like y'all playing like soft. What the hell going on? If I throw them the ball, Jerome, Tolbert Bain, Winston Moss, they're coming to me. Like, what the hell are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So I don't see that. We challenge each other in the weight room. You couldn't even, we went so hard in there, we would do a one extra rep just to outdo the person. And I had another thing real quick, and I want to hold you guys up. The mindset, what we must get back, and especially in the weight room. Number two, on the playing field, we made it to the point. I told Alonzo Highsmith, my best friend, I'm the godfather of his kids. I told Alonzo, and we came in together. Everybody know the story. I said, they put me behind him as a backup at fullback, and I was at tailback. I told him, I said, if your ass get hurt, you might as well transfer because you would never touch the field again. So that's my best friend. So if I have that type of mindset and everybody got the same mindset, you're a second team guy and a third team, you're comfortable being on the bench. I'm allergic to the bench. And I told people that. So I consider the bench. So if you don't push that person in front of you in the weight room doing the extra, you see this guy do 30 reps, I want to do 31. You see him run one more gasser, let's run another gasser. So the mindset now has to be elevated within. It can't just Mario and Coach Eden, they can do everything they want to and get those guys ready. But internally, that team has to take over, and that's the only way we're going to get back to the prominence.
So Coach Eden, do you see that happening with the players?
Yeah, it's going to happen, or else they has got to get out of here. They've been a transfer portal.
So look, I think this is John. Mel, I think I echo what you're saying, and I think a lot of what has happened is, when Mel grew up and I grew up, there's just like a different mind frame with kids. They feel entitled. It's a different environment in school, man. I remember when I was in 6th grade, we had a teacher that would throw erasers at you, and when you get home, you get the eraser thrown, and then your parents kick your ass on top of that when you get home.
Right, facts.
And I think what Mel brings to the table with Jimmy Johnson, Mario, that's the mind frame. If those kids are able to get to that level, and let's talk about something else. We talk about so much sophistication in everything that we do. Now, everything's a machine and everything is so calibrated. Just go down to the basics and the core, right? And I think that's what Mel is explaining, and I couldn't agree more with you. I think I see it, even in what I do. Lawyers that come out of school, now they're not the same way. They don't want to work on Saturdays, and you got to change that. If you change that in the kids that are there now and they're playing and they understand that fully, they're going to go a long way.
All right.
True. Coach Tiller, I see you have your hand up. You got a question for Mr. Ruiz or Melvin Bratton?
I got actually kind of a question for Coach Eaton, but I appreciate the Ruiz family and everything they're doing. And Coach Melvin Bratton grew up watching him. Actually met him in 6th grade, long time ago.
Hey, slow down, Slugger. Slow down, Slugger. Too many damn longs in there, bro. For me, Coach Eaton, I know you deal with strength, and so my question to you is, how are you seeing the improvements in the weight room transition on the field? Because for me, I thought one of the biggest things that we've been always lacking was that strength as it relates to being on the field. I know guys can go in there bench 300, 400, 500 pounds. How is that translating on the field?
Right. I think first and foremost, when we talk about strength, right, like you need to build a huge base, right? Like if you look at any building, you need to look at the foundation. And strength is ultimately going to be the foundation of everything, right? But it's not the end-all, be-all. So to really kind of answer your question a little bit deeper, yeah, strength is our base. It's the the base of the foundation, but it's also the byproduct of power and speed. So how is that able to translate over to the field? I think it's tremendously been able to translate over to the field because we have freakish athletes, man. These guys are just naturally gifted. But when you obviously add a little bit more spice to the pot, more accessory work, better conditioning, better nutrition, those things come into play. Having a full-time registered dietitian on staff now, that's a game changer. That's 90% of the pie. That makes our job look so much easier, to be able to help these guys, to be able to put fuel in their bodies and help them perform at a high level. So to answer your question, I see obviously what we're doing, as a staff collectively, not just, the sets and reps of what we're doing, but just I've heard mindset probably 1,000 times in this space, man. And I get excited when I hear about that, because at the end of the day, like, we can make these guys, get into the weight room, but we can't make them do the work. They got to want to do the work. And if we create a great environment and a competitive environment to where they come in, they have to earn the right to be in here every single day, then yeah, obviously that's going to translate over to the field, because, it's not just like you can win in the weight room, but you got to win on the field. Number one, you got to be able to play football. Like I said it in the last space, you could bench 455 pounds and be strong as an ox and get put on your ass by a guy that benches 225 pounds who understands leverage and angles. I've seen it happen before. So really, at the end of the day, how strong is strong? Can you express your strength and be able to put force into the ground and all those things that come with athletic performance? So I think we have a tremendous group of guys that, set out and set a goal for themselves first and foremost, but also are on a mission. Like, they're on a mission to create the legacy of the 2022, Miami Hurricanes and so forth. They know what it is. They know what the history is. They talk about it every day. And that's a fact. They talk about the guys that came before them. They respect it. They understand that there were guys here before them that literally, bled and sweat and, ran gassers and did all these things at a high level. And that's because that was the Miami way. That's because those guys were brought in and they showed those other guys how to do it. So, you have that DNA now that's creeping in to these, especially the younger guys on our team that are starting to turn the corner and really, really show, great glimpses of just, man, freakish talent and athleticism. So it's just been a joy to train these guys, man.
Lachlan, I see you have your hand up. You have a question?
Yes, sir. My question is for Coach Eaton. I appreciate your answer and you joining the space. I would when I think of Miami, I would just like to I associate it with strength and brotherhood. And I would like to just ask, how strong do you think our team is now? Like, did you see an increase in strength with the arrival of Mario Cristobal? Well, on a scale of, if you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you say strength-wise we're at?
Well, I wouldn't. Mario Cristobal is the head coach. He's not a football player anymore. So yes, he helps in that regard, and obviously bringing the DNA and the coaching staff in. But Coach Cristobal is not the one that's going to help us get stronger. It's the guys in the room that are going to help each other get stronger. So to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. We've seen significant gains in the weight room, and would I say we're where we need to be? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, strength isn't just the only thing that is important, right? It's the nutrition, it's the mindset, it's the psychology, and getting early is on time, right? Like showing up 10 minutes early to class and being a professional. What does that look like? It means that you're doing the little things every single day that are going to eventually turn into, bigger things and your habits, right? Like
Coach Eaton, I want to say something about that. So Mel touched upon that earlier. That's accountability. No one is successful in life. No one's successful in anything without accountability. You got to know that you got to hold yourself accountable, and it's also good, like what he just said, the story that he went to the freshman dorms and he was banging the door down. That's accountability at its finest. Nowadays, that probably doesn't happen like how they used to do that. But, obviously, what we need is accountability. And, playing there on a really good baseball team the year of COVID, we were holding each other accountable. What happened is that the season got canceled, but I thought that team, we held each other accountable for everything. I thought we were going, we were going to do some great things. And I see that that's kind of what's happening with the football program. I'm very close with Gilbert and DJ. And, I could just tell the difference in their bodies already. So, you could tell that they're holding themselves accountable in that weight room and on the field too, which is what it is. And that's kind of, what you're touching upon is that, you got to hold yourself accountable and do your job. Bill Belichick says it best: do your job. If you worry about yourself, you put your head down, you do the hard work, everything's going to come, to fruition. All your goals, you're going to hit all your goals, and everything's going to, all the stars will align if you put your head down and you hold yourself accountable and do the work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To kind of piggyback what you just said, man, I literally just had that conversation with the guys the other day. I said, look, man, you need to be, and there's a difference between being a crutch and being a pillar. The difference between being a crutch is a crutch can, it can stand up, right? But you can lean on it. It's kind of like in a negative way. You're just going to lean on it and rely on it all the time instead of you guys need to be pillars. Be a pillar of truth, right? If a guy's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he's late for a workout or late for a class or not being respectful, hold him accountable by speaking the truth to him. Don't sugarcoat it. Tell him what it is. Don't attack the man. Attack the action. But also, what comes with accountability is I tell him this. I say, look, you ultimately want to know what accountability is. It's putting up the mirror. Put up the mirror in your face and put it right dead smack in your face and ask yourself, are you holding up everything that you said you wanted to do? Because at the end of the day, you're the one that chose to come here. You're the one that chose to sign the dotted line and say, I wanted to be successful. Because that's what Miami Hurricanes are all about, is being elite. It's not about being average. It's about being allergic to being freaking mediocre. So you signed up for that. Don't forget why you came here. You didn't come here to be part of a rebuild. We're rebooting. We're rebooting the system. There's a couple wires that were kind of, taken out of, it's like the hard drive in a computer that were just mismanaged. And,
we're ready to go full speed. I completely agree with you there.
Right. Rewire the system, right? But also, hold that mirror up, but also know this. We are going to hold you guys accountable to what you say and what you want to do. We are also mirrors of the program as well. We have to hold ourselves to a high standard as well. And if we're not holding ourselves to the highest standard and the highest expectations of the program, not just what Coach Cristobal says, but what we say we want to do, then how do we expect to win? And how do we expect to even do the little things in life? So, accountability is a word that's thrown around a lot. And, I'll say this, man, everybody in that building holds each other accountable. And I'll put my name all over that. We confront and demand it every day, because at the end of the day, it would be super disrespectful to these kids, and it'd be super disrespectful to the fathers and the mothers and you guys, the supporters, not just fans, the supporters of this program, to not hold these guys accountable and not hold coaches accountable, if something's going wrong. That's the ultimate form of disrespect if you turned it to a blind eye, man.
I agree with you on that, and also it's great to have guys, like yourself and all the other guys, on the whole entire Miami strength and conditioning program, all the way through all the different sports, because a lot of the time people don't realize, a lot of the time you're spending with the strength and conditioning staff and also the medical staff too, in terms of therapies and everything else. So it's a full, from A to Z, it comes down to everything and everybody being, holding everyone accountable, and it's great to hear that from you. Your commitment and drive to the program, and I think we're in great hands. And I'm also very close with HR Powell, the strength and conditioning coach for baseball. Obviously, I was with him for years, and he has that same drive, and it's great to see that. And everyone now on staff, it's very refreshing.
Peace, Cobbler Poppy. I see you have your hand up for a while. You have a question for one of our guests?
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate the time. First off, appreciate what the Ruiz family is doing for the school. and the town. Also, I saw that my idol, Marcus Lemonis, is in this chat. I just want to say shout out to him. I have a bunch of Camping World stock, and I'm a big fan of the Prophet. I'd love to hear you talk if you can come up here later. But my question is for Mel. So you were talking about like the whole mindset. Does TBD remind you of the mindset of like the old quarterbacks we used to have? So I feel like he's a dog in the locker room on the team, and he's a leader.
Oh yes, that kid has ice in his veins. I've had the pleasure to play with Steve Walsh, Bernie Kosar, and Vinny Testaverde, and people ask me like who was the better out of the three, which like Coach Johnson, we all gonna ride the fence because we love all of them. But one of the things that Vinny had the athleticism, Walsh had the knowledge, Bernie had the knowledge and a little bit of athleticism. He was a little awkward, but Bernie found a way to really get things done. He puts me in a combination of all three guys. He has athleticism. He makes great decisions. He has a big arm. And the kid has ice in his veins. So to have a quarterback, that's where it all starts. We haven't had a quarterback in God knows when. It's been a minute. So now here it is. We got a quarterback who can be a top pick. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully he stays. But if it warrants where he's winning, he has to go to the next level. But this kid here has all the decision making. He can make the NFL throws as far as, you know what I'm saying. And one of the things too that I love about him, that a lot of quarterbacks, that's what hurt Tua. Tua came from a shotgun offense, and when you standing at 5 yards and drop two more steps to 7, it's just like a 7-on-7. You know what I mean? You get the ball out your hands real quick. When you get up under the center as a great quarterback next level, you lose half of the field if you're used to just being in the shotgun. So I love the fact that he's taken from under the center. He's being able to go through his trajectory, his reads, you know what I'm saying, to make the backside out throw 10 yards. So that's what they judge you on as far as at the next level, me being a former scout as well. So I see this kid making, and he's a leader on the field, and they believe if you got a leader like that, that offense is going to go. Because all you got to do is say something to the O-line, like, look, y'all got to hold these guys a little bit longer. The receivers, you got to get off the jams, get open. So you want to play hard for those type guys. I did it for Steve Walsh, I did it for Kosar, and I did it for Tess. So he's a starting point of that team, and I just see nothing but great success, you know what I'm saying, with these kids coming stepping up.
Yeah, let's get Lorraine in. Lorraine, go ahead and speak, please.
Hey, everybody. Great listening to the coach and everybody else. I appreciate everyone being here and everything everyone's doing. I had a question for Coach Eaton. I know you're the strength and conditioning coach, but I also know you're a strong mental health advocate. And being a mother myself, I see a lot of the moms on Twitter and trying to deal with their kids and the pressures of being a hurricane. I mean, being a hurricane comes with a lot of pressure as to how good we've been and where we're going now. What is the team doing in this day and age to help these young men deal with mental health situations there on campus?
Man, that's a phenomenal question, and I appreciate you, asking that question. And obviously, mental health is my space that I dwell in. So, one of the things that
I have quite a few Miami jerseys, to be quite honest.
From our holistic standpoint, we show, we pull back the curtain on these guys. And when I say pull back the curtain, I say we show.
I would say about 3 or 4
as a strength staff. It's not just you come into the weight room and, hey, you got to clang and bang weights and this, that, and third. It's like, hey, if you see a guy that's, just not the same, something seems off. It's pulling the guy aside, or maybe even pulling him into the office and saying, "Hey, man, what's going on? Is everything all right?" And 9 times out of 10, these guys are very, very prideful and they don't want to, be vulnerable. But because they usually say, "Yeah, no, coach, I'm good," and I'm like, "Nah, man, you're not good. Like, I know that look. I've seen it. What's going on?" And then, man, we had an instance today. I can't name the kid's name, but he was going through it. He's just having a bad day, and a lot of things are going on. And you say being a Miami Hurricane is a lot of pressure. We tell them
honestly, I don't know. Probably
you
not.
got to be able to handle it. But from that aspect, it's always going to be the man first, approach and just really getting to know our guys and knowing why they do what they do and how we can assist them. The other part to that question is I've been a strong advocate of setting up
basically like a mental health space. I've noticed that, on our staff that we have a sports psychologist, and the guys use him and the guys love him. He's great. Dr. Goldstein, does a tremendous job. But we also need to have a psychotherapist, somebody that can, actually talk to the man, right? Like, sports psychology is about helping them, get ready to win. Psychotherapy is about helping the person, right? Helping the man. So I've been in talks with, my boss, Aaron Feld. I've been in talks with, obviously Coach, and trying to get things rolling on that, and trying to figure out certain avenues that we can create for these guys, because, mental health is the silent killer. And I don't care what anybody says. I'll stand on it until I'm blue in the face. At the end of the day, these guys are human beings first and foremost. That doesn't mean that we're, using it as a crutch and a scapegoat. It's real. Some of these guys have really, really big issues that we try to tackle. But at that expense is going to take, getting licensed professionals and just an outlet to where they can go and feel comfortable and feel vulnerable and be able to, share what's going on with them. Because I'll tell you what, man, they do go through a lot. They do go through a lot, and a lot of our guys come from different walks of life, some good, some bad, and it's our job to serve them and help them at any expense. But when it comes to mental health, like, I'll drop what I do, and even if it's taking the guy out of a workout or even a practice, and pulling them aside and saying, "Hey, man, you good?"
And thank you for that. Thank you for
Absolutely.
that, because I think a lot of us fans tend to forget that these kids are just coming out of high school. They're freshmen in college. They're also there to learn and to become educated and to make good grades and to play football. And I think on social media, some of the fans are just brutal. And I thank you for making a safe space for them and recognizing it and being able to help them to understand that,
You have a question
isn't
for
just
Coach Eaton?
a new weight room we need. We need to be able to deal with these kids and the social media and the pressure and the things to win, because we're just losing too many kids. So thank you for
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely, and I appreciate you, and kind of to answer a little bit deeper into that. These kids are young men, right? And we're here to serve them. We're servant leaders, so we always tell them, look, you got to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help somebody else, and that's the truth. So if you know that you're going through something, we want to open up the doors and tell them, look, this is a safe place. This is a safe space for you to go ahead and share whatever it is that you're going through. And I'm just there to listen, and if they want to hear my story of how I dealt with mental health and, suicide and anxiety and severe depression and all the other things that I've dealt with in my own, life and playing college football and all that, then, I give that to them if they want that. But ultimately, too many young men today in today's society are taught to be quiet and just suck it up. And, that's good. You got to suck it up at certain times. You got to be strong. But there's a difference between holding in things that are festering and are eating away at you and aren't helping you and are literally hurting you. And, there's a difference between actually being vulnerable and being strong. Like I tell our guys all the time, like, true vulnerability is a strength. It's not a weakness. So whenever anybody tells you that, you're being weak because you're telling me how you feel and you're telling me that you're not okay, like, those people don't really matter, because they're the ones that, are probably going through the same thing and just don't want to admit it. So I'm a strong advocate for that. And, our guys know that. They know that they can come to speak to us about stuff like that. So
That's great to know. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Lachlan, I see you had your hand up. Do you have a question for Coach Eden or the Ruiz family or Melvin Bratton?
Yes. Well, first of all, I appreciate you speaking on mental troubles. New mates did struggle with that a bit, but so I appreciate that. My question is more focused on this upcoming season. I was wondering if we had any candidates, either Gio or Mr. Eaton could attest. Do we have any Heisman candidates on the roster we think could help bring our program back to former glory? Mr. Van Dyke, perhaps. Just any of you guys could weigh in. You guys are on the inside. We're just outside fans, so I would appreciate you guys.
Bench press, back squat, power clean, man. But it's funny you say that, and the Heisman Trophy is is a team award, man. It comes from having great teammates that really really highlight maybe your best player on your team, right? Like it starts with having a great team. There's been a lot of significant players in college football history that were on historically really bad teams that just didn't get their shine, right? But I'm not going to highlight anybody on our team. That's definitely a team award, but I'm not to say that it couldn't happen. We have the DNA, we have the guys that it takes to win that award, but that's truly a team award. So
yeah, look, Lachlan, I would have to agree with Coach Eaton. Mm-hmm. I will say though, from watching practice and even the scrimmages, media is not allowed, but I know many local coaches that go out and just people that are invited in general. And, the general consensus, and even from what I've seen, Tyler Van Dyke, he's been very consistent throughout practice. He's become much more of a vocal leader. But I do agree with Coach Eaton that is more of a team award. Yes, it's given out individually to a player, but there's a lot behind that too for a player to achieve that, because a lot of times a Heisman Trophy winner needs a great team behind him as well.
Roy, that's a great answer. I appreciate you guys. Go Canes.
Okay, our next speaker, let's get Jake in. Jake, go ahead and speak, please. You had your hand up. Hello, Jake. Jake going once. Jake going twice. Let's get our next speaker in. Go ahead, Jake. Go ahead, Jake.
Hey, I really appreciate you guys putting this space together. First and foremost, it's great to get to talk to the coaches and the Ruiz family. Thank you guys for all you do. My question's for Coach Eaton.
Michael, the thing is, we had so many requests. We wanted to get Dave in, but the number of requests, this is impossible. Next thing we're going to probably do is we're probably going to have to get the Barstool guys in first, along with the Ruiz family, when we do this.
I love that.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the growth you've seen, whether that be
we did get Big Cat in.
Fourth quarter program, or
we were able to do that,
or in the weight room, where you've seen.
And that's what we want. That's what we should have done. That's on us.
Improve, because I know that Miami has always had a negative stigma about quitting and things like that.
Yeah, I know.
Can you talk a little bit
I'll
about
have
that?
to make a note of that.
I mean,
and I'll make a note of that with our group.
Everything does rise and fall on your preparation. You always rise, to the level of your training and your preparation and what you put into it. So
I know Cat is a good guy.
Obviously early on,
let's listen to Jeff Eaton.
Feel everything out. They had that first week to where they truly were just trying to, figure the whole system out, right? Like it's a whole complete different culture of how we coach, coaching with a positive language and just being relentlessly positive. And that doesn't mean just, sunshine and rainbows now. Like, don't get it twisted. We get after our guys. We hold them accountable and things like that. But I think, obviously with that fourth quarter training program, it exposes, areas of opportunity. We don't like to call them weaknesses, right?
Okay, does anybody on YouTube have a question for Coach Eaton?
An opportunity. So I think with that fourth quarter program, it really showed us where we were, and where we were deficient in certain areas. And we were able to fill those gaps in by putting them in uncomfortable situations daily, not just every once in a while saying, hey, let's just go out and do this, let's do that, and let's see what happens. It's like, no, every single day you're going to be uncomfortable, and you have to be able to learn to, be comfortable being uncomfortable. So, obviously with the style of training that we're doing, that plays a huge part into it. And then you add on the fourth quarter program, which is going to teach them accountability, discipline, effort, toughness, all those different things. And really the greatest part about the fourth quarter program is the teamwork aspect, right? learning to buy in and communicate at a high level to be able to get certain things done and being on the same page, because all 11, whatever unit is on the field have to be on the same page. So you have to be able to trust the guy next to you. And if the guy next to you isn't in elite shape and he misses an assignment or he messes up on a drill, what do you think is going to happen on Saturday? It's the same thing. Like, nothing just happens. Everything happens for a reason. So I think we've taken a huge step in that department on the mental toughness aspect. And really, man, mental toughness isn't just being tough. It's mental toughness is sustaining, the utmost highest level of performance, dedication, and effort throughout the whole competitive calendar. It's not just, showing up one day and then, next day you're turning it off. Like, you're not always going to be 100%, right? And we know that. Football is, you're going to be banged up. There's going to be days where you don't want to get up, but when you get up, you have a great mindset. You have a great attitude. You don't just come in just to get through the work. You come through to thrive. You don't survive, right? And that's not a slogan. That's the truth. We tell our guys all the time, man, like, if you're at 80%, give us 100% of your 80% and do it till you cannot go anymore. And then guess what? The guy that's next to you sees that. What do you think he's going to do? He's going to go even harder because he knows that, his brother and his teammate is going through it. So he's going to go harder for him, and he's going to hold him to that standard every time. So I think, obviously that mental toughness aspect has been, a really, really big step for us, and just learning, how to work hard, man, and put in the work and do it relentlessly consistent. That's the other part of it, is right consistency in everything that you do. Show me that you can be that guy every single day. I want to know who you are every single day. I don't want to know. I don't really care when everything's easy. I want to see who you are when things are hard, because that's going to show you. That's going to reveal your real character. So we just pride ourselves in being a part of it and putting them in situations that are going to eventually come about on the field. And we do that in practice too, man. Obviously I'm not a football coach, but Coach Cristobal puts them in situations, game time situations, to where it's 3rd and 5 and you just got backed up, and he throws the flag on purpose to give the offense a first down, and he wants to see how the defense responds. Are they going to hang their head, or are they going to bow up? Are they going to bow up and say, "Nah, man, all right, next play"? Because there's not one bad play that can define you if you let it. It's always the next play mentality. But they have to show that, obviously they're there for a reason. And, if you want to be a great defense or a great offense, you got to have a short-term memory, regardless of what happens. Regardless if you score 42 points, man, you got to keep your foot on the gas pedal. There's going to be situations where we're going to be in the season, we could be down 10-7, and we can't waver. We got to say, okay, next play mentality. Something's going to pop. Something's going to happen.
Precisely. I know Alex Ruiz can attest to this, but being a former baseball player, our coach would always say the most important pitch in baseball is the next pitch, and having that mentality that you guys are instilling in the team. Can't wait to see it on Saturdays. Appreciate all you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I'm going to take off, man. Again, before I go, man, I just want to thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do. Obviously, the Ruiz family, man, you guys are awesome. I can't wait to meet all of you guys. And, I just appreciate the support of this community and this family. And I'm just so honored to be a part of it. And, obviously, if anything that you guys need from me, I'm on social media. And, if you ever want to hit me up, just hit me up at practice if you're out there, and I'll be happy to meet you guys. But I just thank you guys so much.
Say hello to my uncle.
Thank you, Coach Eaton.
Thank you, Coach Eaton, for being here tonight. Greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I will.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, I wanted to get. Thank you, Coach. We want to get Z-Tank in. Z-Tank, go ahead and speak, man. You're up.
My question was for actually Ian, so I'll let somebody else take over. Thank you.
Okay, Franco, you're up next.
I was just kind of opening this up to anyone. I just wanted to hear what you guys' realistic expectations were for this upcoming year.
Okay.
I think realistic expectations, especially between watching practice and whatnot, and the consensus from what I've been told speaking with other coaches, I would say right now, like, are you saying like regards to record wise or in regards to development within the team?
I would lead off record wise, but you can go anywhere with it.
Record wise, because I know Miami's not done in the portal. I know quite a bit of their targets that they are after. If the team stayed the same as it was today, I would say it is a 9-3 team. I think it could be 10 or more with the right portal additions that they're after. They want to win right now. They're not afraid of hurting anyone's feelings. They want to win right away, and I don't blame them.
Oh,
thank you.
Okay, and well, the last speaker of the night is going to be Germo. Germo, let's take us home, buddy.
All right. Hey, I have a question for John. John, has there been a community buy-in when it comes to creating NIL deals? Have there been other major companies that are willing to be innovative and bring in some new NIL deals for students?
Truth is, I've been contacted by a lot of different organizations, and even, believe it or not, outside of the state of Florida. And I think interest, yes. And again, I'm a stickler for, dotting I's and crossing T's, and I think the more important aspect of this is, yes, there's a lot of people that have interest, but I just think things have to be done the right way, and it takes a while to really develop that, because in order for you to do what, in my opinion, legal opinion, and all other factors being considered, is necessary, is you have to have, a quid pro quo. You have to have a company that can actually pay the marketing dollars, that's getting something in return, that will comply with the law because it's fair market value. And it's not easy to set up that structure. So when you have to factor everything into the equation, yeah, there's a lot of interest, but is there interest that makes sense in terms of the dynamics of how things have to be done? And I think the answer to that question is I don't see much of that. But we're getting there. We're getting there because, we're gonna obviously assist the people as it pertains to being able to help out in that regard.
Hey, I just wanted to personally say, while we're closing out this space right now, I wanted to thank John for coming out here, and Alex, along with
Melvin
I
Bratton.
know Jimmy Johnson's not here anymore, but him as well, Melvin Bratton, Coach Eaton. It was absolutely great, this space tonight. Would love to do this again very soon and make it a regularly scheduled thing. We will bring on special guests onto this space and speak within the community.
Absolutely. It was a great space. To the Ruiz family and Melvin Bratton, Coach Johnson, thank you all very much. Oh, by the way, this weekend, very important series. Before I go, very important series against Virginia this weekend. Very big one.
Yes.
So we got to turn out. So take care, gentlemen. Pullman, you want to add something with baseball before we go?
Hey, yeah, I like to do a space like this for baseball. I kind of touched on it with Alex. We're trying to set something up so we can do a space for baseball.
I can get all the guys to come. I'll get Palm Quest and Yo-Yo, and these guys they're my friends.
Can we do that probably Sunday late afternoon or early evening?
I'm gonna get Richie Palmer on here, which he's from Elite Squad, which he's one of the top travel team guys. You probably know him, Alex. And he told me he'd come on and bring some of the prospects he's got. I'm gonna have probably two of my high school coaches that I know come on here. And hey man, talk about some Canes baseball and some baseball in general. So we can, we got to get behind this baseball team too. And like John said, baseball team, the basketball team, we got to get behind all these guys and support the whole University of Miami. And then this is how we do it. And baseball players don't get that much publicity, so these guys deserve the publicity right now.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about
Absolutely. I love getting behind these guys, really. It helps out the school.
it. Okay, guys. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Melvin. Thank you, everybody, for coming on tonight.
Guys, thank you.
Thank you,
Melvin.
Take care. Have a good night. And go Canes.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.
All right, for those of you on YouTube, I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for being here tonight. It's a great space. You had some had good questions there. Like Coleman said, you just heard him say, we're going to try to get a baseball space in. We'll have more details as that comes forward. Take care. Have a good night and go Canes.